Just going live here. I'm going to test to make sure that this is working. I'm actually streaming from a different computer this time. And just want to make sure that everything is working. Mark will be on in just a second. You guys can feel free to ask questions or whatever, and we can chat for just a minute before he gets here. Okay, that definitely is working. Let me mute that on my end. All right, cool. So we've got that. And yeah, let's see. I also found out apparently I can click comments and make them appear. So let's see what's going on. Let's see. Boom. Hello, Daydreamer. Lingoholics. Hola todos. Hola, hola. We got a privyet. We've got a konnichiwa. That's actually really cool. Hello, foreign language lovers. Yeah, like I said, Mark should be on here in just a little bit. Usually it's a little bit close to 9. Like my time when he can get on, and it's usually, I probably should have scheduled it for just a minute later, like maybe 9:15 or so, but yeah, I figured we could jump on here and oh, apparently if I don't click it, it just stays up there. I guess that's cool. So if somebody says something cool, like Alex Trotman says, "What's up, Jonathan?" I can just leave that there forever. Let's see. I'm just going to highlight them all. Here we go. Boom. Hi, everyone. Hi, long time no see. Yes. What is happening, everybody? So, like I said, Mark will be on. We're going to chat about some stuff. God, why is the quality on that so bad? Oh, you know what? I think I know why, actually. Hold on. Let me see. Yep, that is what I want. Let me do, I don't know if I can do this while it's streaming, but we're going to try. See if that does anything. But yeah, like I said, Mark will be on here in just a few. But I will gladly chat with you guys. Yeah, that kind of cleared it up, but not really. Oh, I forgot my beanie. I feel weird. There we go. So yeah, just hanging out. I've been studying a little bit today. Let's see. Mark is active on Facebook now, so he should be on in just a few. But I feel like we'll probably chat about, obviously, his Russian journey. We will probably chat about. Nope, my quality still looks like crap, and I don't know why. I think it's just this program that I use. I'm gonna have to figure something out there. But at any rate, we'll probably talk about the 24-hour, 7-day language challenge and his Russian and Spit, because I know that he just hit 2.5 years of studying Russian. I forgot to post this on Facebook, so I'm doing that real quick. Because you never know when you're going to need, or not need, but just promote it. There we go. So anyway, let's see what some of the comments are saying. Seabolt, how was Mexico? Mexico ruled. It was such an awesome time. Like, it was so, oh, Mark. Boom, there's Mark.
Hey. Are we on already?
Man. Yeah, I just went live honestly, just kind of welcome people back to the idea of live streams. And I was also messing around with StreamYard here. Apparently, I don't know if you're looking at the stream or not, but I can actually highlight comments to have put on the screen, which is kind of cool. So like if somebody asks something and we're talking about it, I can be like, oh, boom, there we go. And like that'll at least, like if people come in while we're chatting, it gives them kind of a leadway as to, what we're talking about. So Lingoholics, I will get back to that. Mexico was awesome. That's what I'll say. I'm going to get into chatting with Mark. And as did anybody who's ever watched this, if you're new, you may not, but we don't have a criteria here. We literally just talk, field questions from people watching. That's what I love about what I do versus a lot of other interviews. Now, a lot of other interviews are better structured, but I enjoy the no time to rehearse. We're just here chatting. So
this is definitely your lane, Seabolt.
Yeah,
you got ownership all over it, though.
Yeah. So, Mark, thanks so much, man. I feel like I haven't talked to you in forever, even though I feel like I have, but I haven't at the same time. Not like this anyway. So, thanks for
month and a half, something like that.
Yeah. Thanks for jumping. Oh, that's right, because we did an interview on your channel.
That's right.
Which people can go and check with links in the description and or just type in language, come up, and it should pop up there. So let's jump into it. Now, a couple things I do want to talk about, and there are already, well, there's at least a question here, which we can actually go ahead and get into. But a couple things that I do want to touch on are the 40-hour, 7-day language challenge, I feel like we're linked at the hip with that. So I think that I think that obviously I want to discuss that. And then, of course, I know that you just came upon, I believe, your 2.5-year Russian anniversary.
Yeah.
So
I
definitely
did.
want to dive into that. So I've got that jotted down, but let's I know we'll go ahead and start with Jonathan for every time. I'm so sorry. If you want to phonetically spell your name out in the chat, and I'll know how to but that way I can pronounce your last name, Ferreira. But anyway, what languages does Mark speak?
Hablo español y по-русски говорю.
Nice. And English, of course. No.
I guess so.
I guess you could go. So yeah, well, so with that question, and again, anybody watching, feel free to ask questions. I will read the chat, so let me know and we can jump on that. But with that,
how was Mexico? That's what I want to know. I'm like one of the watchers that's asking how was Mexico. And well, since I'm live here with you, Seabolt, I want to know how was Mexico. Dude, that's like for me. I'm really curious to hear about that, man.
It was so amazing. There's a lot that I enjoyed, meaning literally every waking moment of being there. So, and there's a couple things that happened, and at first I was really upset, and then it really made me happy. So this dude looks like liking. I don't know what that means.
What's liking?
I don't know.
Must be an anime.
Also, my camera may or may not shake because I'm literally streaming off. Oh, it looks like Loki. Gotcha. So back in May, well, actually back in like February or April, February or March. I can't do months right now. I had booked a trip for Iceland. I had talked about that and stuff. And so that original trip, which I didn't talk about because I never like to share when I'm leaving, just for, I mean, I just don't, I would share it when I come back. But the original trip was from May the 30th through June the 6th. I think it was going to be 9 days. Maybe it was like May 28th. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But anyway, we were going to be gone for 9 days. And everything was going to be awesome, right? We were going to rent a car, probably drive a little bit around, around Iceland. I was going to go with Tyler, who runs Tongue Tied blog. Tongue Tied.
Oh, you want to go with him? Cool.
Yeah, because he's a massive Viking Norse fan.
Cool.
That whole just area of and Icelandic is actually the closest language to Old Norse, from what I understand. But anyway, so we were going to go there, and it was going to be awesome. Well, this all leads to Mexico. I know that people know that I talk a lot, but I promise this is all related. And so that trip got canceled because Icelandic Air canceled the return flight for no reason. Not just me, literally, they just were not flying that day. So I called the booking company and I was like, "Hey, what's up? Like, I need a flight out of Iceland. Like, what's happening?" And they were like, "Oh, let's see what we can find." So they were like, "Oh, well, the next date that they're flying is June the 10th." And I was like, "Bro, I can't stay like almost another week." And I would love to, but just financially, and this was before I quit my job. Like, I can't do it. And so they were like, "Oh man, that's whatever, blah, blah." So I canceled the flight. So then Ari had sent me a message and he was like, "Hey, we're gonna go to Mexico." And I said, "All right, cool." And he said, we're gonna fly in and we're gonna drive across the border. We're not flying into Mexico. And I was like, okay, well, that's I'm just being an American. That's something that really interests me, especially being on the East Coast, because you always hear about this border and all this stuff. Being on the East Coast, so far away from everything, it's almost like this thing of like fiction, or like, you know what I mean? Like, you're just like, what? So, so anyway, so we flew in, and the reason that I brought all this up is because I'm really happy that, and I know that obviously not everybody has the opportunity. Look, I was extremely blessed with being able to go, having a tour guide for Mexicali where we were going, so, and I know that the average person can't do that as far as like just book something like that. And the point I'm making is I'm extremely grateful and incredibly humbled that my first experience out of the United States was not a massive tourist area. I got to experience Mexico the way that Mexicans live daily life.
That's right.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with going to Reykjavik in Iceland or Paris or any of these things. But to me, being able to step outside of the country, out of my comfort zone, and experience Mexico, not in like Cancun or something like that, where it's still very Americanized, was so amazing. And the more that I think about it, I'm like, you know what? I'm actually really happy that Iceland trip got canceled because I can book it later. But the fact that my first taste of like foreign soil was like legitimate day-to-day life. Yep, absolutely. So, and just enjoying, seeing, I mean, everything is handmade. Everything is mom and pop shops. It's not corporate. Well, I mean, I say corporate America, but it's not a Burger King or McDonald's on every store. It's Juan's Tacos, Margaret's clothing store, whatever the case may be. And seeing that, and then of course, obviously, Mexican food's my favorite food. So I was
glad that you actually got to see what real Mexican food was like, what people really eat. And of course, let's say Americanized Mexican food, or let's say this Tex-Mex thing, it's good. It has its place, but I mean, I've never had that here. So I mean, I know what real Mexican food's like. And I saw those tacos and I'm like, all right, he's onto the right path.
Oh, dude. For him. And that's my favorite thing, dude. Like, and that's one of the biggest takeaways I had from Mexico is almost every store that was down there would be shut down by the United States government in a heartbeat. Like, whether it be because this place probably has never passed a health code in its life or whatever the case may be. And I'm sure they would also overtax them because that's, United States government. But like, I just feel like it was just so, even though it was Mexico and like growing up and in America, if you grow up in America, you're exposed to Spanish culture, whether or not you want it or not. But it still was just so, I mean, obviously it's foreign. It's a completely different thing, but like, it was also really cool to see how the English culture doesn't bleed over into Mexico the way that the Mexican culture bleeds into the United States. Like Calexico, the American border state to Mexicali in Mexico, is way more Spanish than Mexicali is English.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways it does. Like, for example, one way that I really find myself feeling like at home, although I mean, we can say that this is my home too. But
you've been there for forever. That Mexico, you're a Mexican citizen at this point.
Yes. So what I was saying is that, for example, Mexicans really love music and they love rock. Like they love rock just as much as like people from the States do. And in certain parts of, let's say, Latin America, they don't have like the culture of rock. They have more kind of dance culture or some sort of other kind of things like that. But like people from Venezuela don't have like the culture of rock that in Mexico that they do have, and it's like they feel the music so passionately. So you go to a concert here and it's like a completely different experience. And even going to concerts in the States, because people get like way more excited. And like me being at like the upteenth level of like music fan, like I'm a real hardcore music fan. Like I really relate to that because I mean it's like a bunch of people around me who feel just like I do that are like into the music just as much as I am. That it's not just like some spectacle. You're like really feeling it, and it's going in you.
I know that you're a huge music fan, and that's one thing I always love chatting with you about because I know you're also an old hip hop head too. I wish that we would have like went to school together because I can't imagine a lot of people I went to school with would have like willingly went to like a Bone Thugs and Harmony concert.
Oh my god, I wanted to go so bad. I thought I was going to actually get to see them at one point. It didn't happen, but I mean, I love Bone Thugs, and we're actually the same graduating year, which is another cool random thing, because anyway.
Yeah, man.
But that's cool that you got to experience a more authentic, Mexico. I mean, sure.
No, that's not saying I'm obviously like I'm gonna come to Mexico City and visit you. Like I'm gonna go, but like
I mean that's authentic Mexico too. I mean
and that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not discrediting anything. It's just like people don't go to Mexicali to experience like they would go to a larger area. Like
it's not like the first stop, or the people that I know that have been to Mexicali went there for some reason. Like a buddy here from San Diego who's lived here just about as long as I have. Like he went to Mexicali for a wedding for some friends that he had, and I mean, but you're not like arriving there. You just arrive there. You're like, oh, cool, all right, so this is where we're at, and it's kind of like. And if you know Russian people, a bunch of Russian people, they'll tell you that Moscow is not, Russia. So they're saying that like it's so much more than like Moscow's like a different entity. But to know the real Russia, you have to go to the villages a bit, some different cities. And you got a little bit of that thing going on as well, so that's cool.
I got followed on Instagram, I think yesterday, by an account. Had the greatest name ever, and it was just effing learn Russian was the account.
That actually is a friend of mine. So I mean, dude, she followed you.
That's such an incredible name. Like I love, because like it's the directest of Russians, but it's not meant in a bad way at all. It's just can learn.
I was actually talking to her about that, and first she had her name as like Russian with Anna, and she discovered that like everyone has like Russian with something, so she completely changed it to just effing learn Russian.
Kudos to the guy that nailed what is it? Learn Russian fluently. He's like one of the bigger Russian teachers on YouTube. Like, and it's literally like for fluent Russian or something like that. I was like, man, you nailed that. Like, good luck, good job on jumping on that one early. So
he must have got on it early.
Let me see here. I'm going to start filling a couple things here. Alex Trotman says, how long did it take him, meaning you, I presume, to learn Spanish, and how did he go about learning it?
So I have the interesting experience of kind of learning two languages on a pure. I mean, I'm not a guy that throws the immersion word out there because like I don't want to be grouped with a certain kind of like. You study and you watch content, but you're not like a strict like I only immerse, and you're also not like someone said, "Am I an age-adder?" No, I'm not an age-adder. If I'm going to classify myself in any kind of language group, I'm definitely on comprehensible input team. I'm more of one of those kind of guys. Yeah. So I did actually have the experience of learning a language in immersion. It's called living in Mexico. So I had the very interesting experience of that versus, living in a different country. I live in Mexico now and I study Russian. That's my main activity. So I'm really, getting my language input in outside of the country. So
you moved to Mexico and learned Russian.
Hey, I mean, picked up another language while I was at it. But I did start taking like classes for Spanish learners. Like they have a kind of a exchange program, not exchange program, but just like a language program, right? And I did study at that school, and I studied there for like a year, and I realized that at the end of the year I could have conversations, but it actually was kind of deceiving though, because like the more that I realized that I thought that, oh man, I'm so good now, the more you would see like all of the holes and how much you really needed to improve. So I mean, I went to this school for like a year. It was like three hours a day, 5 days a week, and it took me up to a pretty decent conversational level. But the language is so much more than conversational level, and you really see how much it takes to learn a language. So I mean, I wanted to study Russian after that period, and I just realized I need to stick with Spanish. Period.
Yeah. No, I mean it makes sense. Plus, too, you living in Mexico would probably be very beneficial. Like that's the big thing I'm struggling with right now is like I feel like I've let down everybody in Mexico at how long I've had to learn Spanish, and I just never did. And then I went there and I was like, well, that was dumb. Probably should have done that.
Yeah, well, hopefully you
next time
take it, you get back on it. I want to see you do a Spanish challenge. I don't know, 3 months of solid Spanish work, and then come have a try at it again. I mean,
that's my goal. And the thing is like I can, like, visiting Mexico is way more something that I can do than, I mean, except for like maybe Canada, but like in Canada I just speak English. But like, I mean, Mexico would be absolutely perfect because I could go there, I mean, multiple times a year. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Like that's one of the things that, I really love about, the whole Mexico thing. It's because like it's its own world. I mean, look, the States is the States, but Canada, I mean, the culture is fairly similar. And, I want to really get to know Canada as well. But I mean, you go down to Mexico and it's just like its own entity and it's so close.
Yep.
So I want my life to be a life where I can actually go between the two countries. Cause I mean, that's two parts of my identity, two parts of my life, essentially.
Yeah. Can you pronounce this? Tongue twister?
Yeah, they do this to people. I don't. I've never tried it, but that's a tough one. Oh.
I don't know what that is.
Oh gosh.
Let me see. Is Mark using AJAD? He is not. We talked on the. What surprised you the most in Mexico? Actually, we can do both of that because I'm sure you've probably had surprises after moving to Mexico. Like, there's probably stuff that maybe surprised you. I think one of the things that surprised me the most is how well, there's a couple things that happen, and if you watch Shalma's video, you actually see the woman say this. We were talking to somebody, and because the thing with being an American, right? Everybody's like, oh, freedom, free. That's the anytime it's freedom, and she had said that she had been in Mexico and the United States, and he said, "What do you like living in Mexico or the United States better?" And she said, "Mexico," and he said, "Why?" And she said, "Because of the freedom."
Mm-hmm.
And it's a different freedom, but it's what people want there. Like, and so that kind of surprised me because, again, just being from the United States, everybody's like, oh, the United States, freedom, we're all free, that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was very interesting. But the other thing that really it got me was how, because like, especially being like, all you hear about is how dangerous Mexico is. And because, I mean, again, nobody talks about all the good things. That's the same thing in the United States. Like, I can't imagine I've had people on Instagram and Twitter DM me and be like, oh my God, what is going on? And I'm like, that's literally a small section of the country that has nothing to do with anything. Like, it's fine over here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, multiple different instances of different things. And like, everybody there was so nice. And what I mean is, if you come to the United States and you talk to people and you stand in line at a grocery store, right? Oh, hey, how's it going? How's it going? They're nice, but it's in this, I'm just going to carry this conversation on until I can get the F out of here because I don't want to talk to you. Like, that's the undertone of the niceness in the United States, right? In Mexico, everybody wanted to talk all the time, and it was very friendly. And we had stopped at this place on the side of the road where this dude had like one of those circular. It reminds me of how they cut like the euros or heroes, whatever they're called.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he was cutting
where they have the
off.
tacos and they cut the meat.
Yep. And so he was just sitting there cutting it, and the dude was standing there, and he just started talking, man, and was just talking and just so friendly, and oh my gosh, like telling just life stories and all this stuff. And we sat down and eat. And then when we left, the dude got out of his truck and came over and was like, oh my gosh, I just want to tell you guys goodbye, man. It was so good talking to you. Like, I was like, oh my God, man. Like, these people, they're so friendly. And like, it's not like a fake friendly where it's like, I'm going to be nice just to be cordial. Like, no, like and I never felt unsafe there. Like 12 o'clock in the middle of the street at a place that doesn't even have walls as a business selling euros. I mean, or hero, whatever they're called. And I was like, nothing ever really made me feel uncomfortable. I was pretty good. Like,
good.
It was. I guess that's the most surprising parts is just honestly the genuineness. I'm sure there's shady people. I mean, there's shady people everywhere. But I felt like the majority of people that we interacted with were incredibly genuinely friendly.
And that's wonderful. I'm glad you had such a positive experience. But the thing that really really surprised me, I guess it kind of didn't surprise me, but it kind of did just to see it, because, for example, I've seen a bunch of Shalma's videos, and I watched this one, and the thing that really impressed me that I just thought, oh my gosh, how beautiful, is because, like, he was trying to pull out his, like, oh, I'm, check my Chinese out, let's get a reaction. And even like the Chinese people there, like, were not reacting. But what did happen was I never saw so many Chinese people have such genuine, authentic conversations with him, take the time to really talk to him. And it made me think that Mexico rubs off on us for the better, because it's known for its warm people. And even the people that come there as immigrants take in this warmth and give it out, So like, like I've seen a bunch of Shama's videos. They never did that to him there. They're just like, oh my God, your Chinese is amazing.
Right.
But in Mexico, they're like, oh, all right. But then they just started talking and they had a long conversation. And I go, that's Mexico, baby. That's the Mexican effect right there.
Dude, it was amazing. Like, and that's, you're right. There's a genuineness, and we talk to a lot of people. I mean, that's literally what he does for a living, is talk to people. So you can bet we talk to a bunch of people.
Oh, I imagine.
And there was not one single person that was short or anything. Like, it was incredible. Let's see. Let's move on down the list here. Do you think that languages, music, math, etc., are all related, right brain kind of thing?
Well, it's interesting. You know, I haven't thought so much about the math thing, but I have considered: is there a connection between languages and music? And you know, it's one of those things that some people say no, but at the same time, it almost seems like it's kind of hard to deny. I don't know, but you know, you could take a lot of like these people who are well known in the language learning community, and they all have, I mean, not they all, but lots of them have a music background. Stephen Krashen himself, who will say no, he studied piano, like seriously. He wanted to be like a professional piano player. Ollie Richards studied piano like to a very high level, you know, and they had this conversation whether they think that there's a connection. Ollie said that he can't really explain it, but he does think that, you know, there is one. Krashen said he doesn't really think so, but I mean, Krashen, you know, I mean,
yeah, I mean, at
some level, he was very serious about music. For me, I feel like I have music just running through me. I can play guitar. I write songs and poetry and things like that. So I think like maybe it's just some kind of love for language, because even before I spoke anything, I remember just reflecting on like, oh my God, these are beautiful lyrics and songs, you know? So it's like, that's kind of a love of language, even without realizing it, you know?
Right.
So, you know, it's kind of hard to say one thing or other, because I mean, you need research and studies, but
right.
I kind of feel like there's something there, but
yeah,
how much, I don't know.
Yeah. I growing up, I played the drums. I was a drummer. So maybe there is something, but also, I don't know, like, it's weird because a lot of people that you see get into languages and stay in it for a long time. And I'm not saying I'm a great example. Like I'm not saying that I'm a person who has learned a language to a high degree, but I do feel like it entertains a lot of people who have like a creative side. And I think that goes into, because I don't necessarily, like, I don't play drums anymore, but I've wrote, I mean, probably 20 plus screenplays in my life. Like,
that's creativity.
I've wrote a ton of and I think it's just the idea of a project, which is funny because I'm like the quintessential like serial language dabbler. But I think that part of it is just the idea of undertaking a journey, because you're not going to write a screenplay in a day. Like, and I think it's just the idea of like constantly having this thing to work towards. Same thing with music. You're not going to write a song. I mean, like, obviously there's instances, right? Like Stephen King did a ton of coke and wrote a book over the course of like 48 hours. That's a completely different thing than what I'm talking about. The average person's not going to write a book, write an entire song, whatever the case may be, over the course of a day. Like, it's kind of this journey and like building towards.
So it says here, imagine having a Mexican grandma and not speaking Spanish. Well, I had a Mexican dad, and I didn't speak Spanish till I was 27. So there's always time. There's always time. My uncle tells me it's a shame that my dad didn't speak to me in Spanish, to which I disagree, because I had this amazing experience of going from one country to another, going through this process that is language learning, you know, going through the process once, seeing the beauty, understanding that, wow, this is something I really love and I want to keep doing. So for me, the priceless of acquiring that first language for me is priceless. I don't care that I didn't grow up speaking it. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I mean, I am who I am right now because of that experience. A guy who's fascinated with language, loves language learning and language acquisition. And had I grown up speaking Spanish and I came here speaking Spanish, man, I probably would have got involved, got some other job here in Mexico. End the story. I mean, sure, my Spanish would be better, but hey, I mean, it set me on a path of life that for me is just like such a close part of my identity that for me, I can't separate them anymore. So I'm glad that I learned the language so late, for me, it's a blessing that although it didn't seem like a good thing back in the day, well, it turned out to be a blessing.
I feel like maybe it's one of those things where, since you had to learn it after the fact, well, first and foremost, there's a couple things with you. Just in my opinion on this, and one, you probably have a higher respect for the language because you didn't grow up even partially natively speaking it as a true bilingual. But also, I think it really shows a lot because you took time and effort to do something do something for your father.
Absolutely.
After he had passed, and so you're always going to have this connection to him. You worked for it. Like, it wasn't like a thing, like it wasn't like something that was passed down as much as you were like, I'm doing this for my dad.
I feel like I almost went back in time and went and got something that maybe I should have had or could have had or whatever. But yeah, it's such a spiritual element to it because when I came to Mexico, the first two things that I did, I got enrolled in like a Spanish kind of program, and I started to learn how to become an English teacher, right? So my main activities have always been like Spanish and teaching English. And then I would think of my dad as like, my uncles and aunts tell me that my dad, really loved, he loved to study English. He had this goal of like traveling and visiting the States and all that kind of thing. Like, they remember him just studying English and things like that. He would go to schools. And I thought it was beautiful that I could start working, in these schools and have all these people there with their own dreams, their own goals, just like my dad was all those years back. But I can be the one that's helping people just like my dad. And so for me, that's a very spiritual thing. To speak Spanish for me is beautiful because I think, man, my dad must be proud of me because I literally did something that, was really unexpected.
Right.
And, I think, not to get all like too, spiritual or anything like that, but I think it'd be beautiful, like one day in heaven or something like that, to be able to speak Spanish to my dad and be like, "Hey, Dad, look at this. Do you remember Spanish?
look what I did." He's like, "Whoa, yeah." No,
but not only that, but like I've lived such a major part of my life here in Mexico, and a lot of that was in Spanish. If I wasn't working, then it was in Spanish. Sparing like a couple English friends that I have here, right? Speaking friends, I mean. But I've developed, I feel like I came into myself here. I became a man here, and a lot of that was in Spanish. So like for me, like, imagine if I learned like 20 languages, which that happens. And people ask, what's your favorite language? We would always have to put Spanish to the side and just say, we can't even like count that. We can't even like, it would have to go from Russian on,
Right.
Because there's so much there.
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense. And, oh God. My brain just died. I had something I was going to add to that. What I was going to say is too, so like Spanish is almost, it's kind of helped mold you because realistically, you've spent more of your adult life, even if you're counting being an adult at 18, which I
really don't do that. No.
When I was 18, I was like, yes, but in my 30s now, I'm like, 18-year-olds have no idea about but you've spent more of your adult life in Mexico living versus being in the United States. So you have like, just as an adult, you have more of an attachment to that because you've spent more of your adult life in Mexico, like in, just
of course,
year wise.
And to be honest, before my dad passed, I really didn't have like this idea of life. I was just kind of like almost drifting in a way, going from one thing to another thing, trying to find yourself, but I wasn't really achieving too much. I came to Mexico. I got connected with my family. I got started as an English teacher, as a Spanish learner, became interested in languages, kind of discovered like the polyglot scene here in Mexico City, which was a really interesting thing.
Yeah.
And I knew what I wanted my life to be about. So I really found myself here in the views on life that I have now. It's all from like this period of self-discovery and all the things that I've read, listened to. So I have a very clear vision of my life right now. And, I'm very grateful for that experience because out of the biggest tragedy of my life came the most beautiful period, and I'm a result of all of that. So
yeah,
I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, no, I think it's cool. I mean, it. I always feel weird saying I think it's cool because I don't think that the circumstance is cool, but I think it's cool of what you made out of a circumstance. If that's
no, of course. I mean, that's the only thing that you can do. It's like when you're faced with these forks in the road, you're either going to go one way or the other. And in every situation, I want to try to go for the positive routes.
Right.
So,
how to get motivation back to learn Spanish again? I got a job and I don't have much time nor motivation anymore.
Well, let me ask you, what was your motivation in the first place? Tell me that first.
Yep. Yeah, that's we're several comments back here. Once we'll get caught up though. But yeah, what was your motivation to begin with? That's a good thing, and then we'll sort out from there. Do you ever have Russian food?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, our girl Elise speaks. Did you know that she was in Mexico City for like a month?
I saw her post about it.
So we hung out a day.
She's there for a month.
Yeah, she was here like a month. We got to hang out a day, which was super awesome. Because some people like you watch and you would just get along with. Like when I watch you, I'm like, I would get along with that guy. When I watched Elise, I'm like, that girl is funny as hell. Like I know I would get along with her. Right. So we've been cool for some time, and we got to see each other. We actually went to a really nice Russian restaurant. It's fitting. I showed her. So yeah, every once in a while, I still prefer Mexican food, to be honest. But of course, it's nice to have.
Mexican food rules, man. It's when I got like the core thing, like I didn't say anything I wanted to do because it wasn't my like. I'm very fortunate that when I go, like Shalma's like film my stuff, like, and I just film in the background. Like I always make sure that I'm filming, like, because that's what I'm there for. But I didn't say anything. I wasn't like, I don't want to say anything because I don't want anybody to feel obligated to be like, all right, we're gonna do this, But they were like, we're going to a taco spot and they've got chorizo tacos. And I said,
ooh, nice.
I said, dude, my number one goal in coming here, because my favorite food on the planet is Mexican chorizo.
Are you serious?
I love chorizo, dude.
Wow.
And so getting to eat authentic Mexican chorizo in Mexico,
that's sick,
was the greatest. But anyway, yeah, so Mexican food is my favorite, dude. Just that it's the chip, cheese, meat combination. Like it's perfect.
Every time I go with my buddy Matt from San Diego to some place or order tacos, like he always gets like tacos de chorizo, like my favorite taco like is between what's called pastor, which I'm sure you tried, and what they call a campechano. And a campechano is chorizo with just kind of like meat, right? And it's mixed, and oftentimes it has cheese. So for me, that's like one of my go-tos. So only sometimes I would get a taco of just chorizo, but it's usually that combination of meat and
this one was this one was like a chorizo carne asada type of deal, like kind of a mixture. Yeah.
So you now know the true stuff. So
and the food, it doesn't take, like, I guess somewhere it's not corporate ran.
Everything's fresh, man.
Everything's fresh. Oh God. Yeah.
That's why it's kind of hard to replace some of that stuff, because like literally it's like the ingredients just from the soil just right over there and boom.
Right.
Super fresh.
Let's see. I know that you touched on this earlier. Do you play any instruments? You said guitar, right?
I actually haven't touched it for a while. I don't have one with me anymore. That was like my main activity. So my passions have been like stages, right? So from 13 to 22, I was a runner, a distance runner. And I became quite good throughout the years. I was able to run for my university, and my last season, I was actually the number one runner. So
I feel like we're like best friends, because I know that I'm a fat dude. Like no one's ever said that, but I am even as a fat guy, like literally less than 2 years ago, I ran a 10K. Like I'm a distance runner. Like I haven't done it in a while, but yeah. Like anyway,
but after the whole running thing, after I came to a point where I'm like, I started writing. I'm like, oh, these are pretty good lyrics. I bet these could be pretty good songs too. So I'm like, what should I do? Should I learn how to play the guitar, or should I continue with my running thing? And I think that I took my running as far as like it's like the idea of the come up like really comes from that, because I started as like a 13-year-old kid, and like year after year you would see me improve until I got to the point where I was literally either beating, right behind, or not so far off from like state champions,
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I mean, I really came up, you know what I mean? Like I was one of those people that had a certain level of talent, but not like an exceeding amount. A lot of hard work went into that. So that was really nice. Then I decided to play guitar, and that was like really my main activity until coming to Mexico. Then I got launched into like the world of languages since then. And since then, I've been going strong, and I don't see an end to that, because it's just such a part of my lifestyle now.
Yeah. Great question here. What makes Russian a challenging language to learn?
Well, I mean, this is well documented. Documented.
Maybe we should refer to you, which I know you're an odd. I don't want to say odd case, but you actually went over a year, like a year and a half, without any grammar study at all, right?
Yeah, it actually came out to be about 2 years, although I didn't want it to be that way. I did know grammar for a year and a half, and the idea was just like start incorporating it, but it was really hard for me to open the grammar book, to be honest. So it got pushed back to like 2 years, and I wish it's whatever, it's okay. But if I would have, been on my stuff like hardcore, it would have only been like a year and a half. But I mean, of course, we all know about the cases, and there's like these aspects of verbs, and there's what they have. What's it called? Verbs of motion. It's like so many things coming at you, like at once. Yeah. That's
I know the verbs of motion, and I think in most Slavic languages are like to go somewhere in a car is different than going somewhere in this or go like. There's like so many. I know that's one of the huge things I always hear people talk about.
Versus like on foot, and then like I guess there's some. Yeah, I mean I know there's like uncommon ones, like I don't know, by horse. Like back in the time where you would need horse, it would be something different, I guess.
Yeah. Lingoholics. Mark, if you were to learn a second Slavic language, which one would it be?
Super interesting question. So ever since I came to Mexico and I decided, oh man, this language thing is just like, it's for me. I love it. Mm-hmm. I knew immediately that my next language was going to be Russian. I'm not sure even how, but I knew that was going to be the next language. So like I've been into the idea of learning Russian a long time before even starting. Mm-hmm. So like the idea of like you really like taking on another language in general is quite lofty. Although I have a couple ideas, but it's not like how it was with Russian. But thinking about the Slavic languages, if I were to pick one, I would pick Belarusian, because I guess like it's not so far away from almost becoming a language that's in danger or something of extinction. And just for that reason, I would say, hey man, we got to keep these languages alive, man. Like, of course, world major languages are cool. You can communicate with a lot of people, but there's also something really special with like these languages that don't get so much attention. So I would say Belarusian, man.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Let's see. Ada says, well, my dad promised he would teach me Latin, but passed away when I'm wondering if I could learn it by myself. Yeah, I mean, you can learn anything by yourself. I would not listen to my advice because it's not like I've done much. But I'm saying, if you persist, you can absolutely do it. Okay, Alex Trotman, so his reasoning for learning, his motivation to learn Spanish was to become a polyglot and raise my future kids to be polyglots or be like Alexander Argyle's or Richard Simcott. Okay, so you want to go ahead? Go ahead.
I mean, that's a tough one, man, because like I have like these concepts in my mind of language learning, and I think that like to want to be a polyglot is probably the worst reason to be a polyglot. Like
I have a video on my channel from several years ago why I said that the idea of being a polyglot is the worst thing. And it's not because it's bad, but it's because for a lot of monolinguals like myself at the time, I guess I'm still technically monolingual. I don't know if I'd say I'm fluent in anything, but the idea of wanting to be a polyglot before you even learn a second language, you're already so far behind.
Of course. If you happen to be a polyglot through time, then you're a polyglot. But I never think the goal should be to be a polyglot, because you're taking these languages and you make them into a numbers thing, and that's not what it's about, man. Like, if your motivation's waning, I think you got to find the motivation in the first place. So
yeah, I just think that I just think that it can be a bad, like, I think it can be bad for your mentality to be like, okay, I speak English. What's my goal? My English is my goal is to speak 10 languages. Well, it's really hard to learn one. And if you've never learned another language and you're monolingual and your goal is to speak 10, that's going to be hard to keep up with. Granted, it depends on what your definition of speaking is. I mean, if you're just trying to hit a B1 or B2 level, again, that's all completely up to you. I just think that if that's the main goal, that's going to be hard to stick with. So when I started Japanese, my motivation was that I really enjoyed things from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Now after 15 months, just slowly kind of dwindling away at that, seeing how hard it is, seeing a couple of other things, including a trip to Mexico, that really just made me kind of be like, what am I doing? I think that your motivation needs to be, again, I can't tell you what your motivation is. I mean, only you can do that. But I think that it's got to be something that you want to spend time with, or else it's going to be really hard to make yourself spend time with it, I guess, is ultimately the.
So, yeah, I like what you say here. It's better, you say you're interested in the Romance languages. Perfect. That's nice. And you say you want to start with Spanish. Wonderful. You're lucky with Spanish, because with Spanish, you literally have so many options. Have you checked the list of countries that speak Spanish? I mean, you can literally pick, my advice for you would be, explore the Spanish-speaking world, explore the culture, find out about the culture, find out about the people, find out about the food, the movies, the music. And, through this, you're going to get excited through something. I mean, I'm sure you will, but explore. Check out Paraguay and see what's cool about Paraguay. I mean, like,
yeah, that's the thing too. I think people get, where should I start? But that's the thing. What draws you to? So my draw to Mexico is going there, and I think that can absolutely be a like make or break kind of thing, right? Like Eric from Link went to Japan, and then he was like, "Oh my god, I got to learn Japanese," and that's what he's doing. And I honestly think that that can do a lot. Like I said, after going to Mexico, I was just like, I should have been on this, because these people are incredible. And fortunately for me, the interest in Japan and the interest in Mexico kind of goes side and side, because I don't know if you know this or not, Mexico,
they have a wrestling scene,
has a massive pro wrestling scene.
Of course, man. I went to one of the events here in Mexico City, in one of the main places, and it was such an experience. It was really cool.
Oh, dude, you're in Mexico City. They run there's a promotion in Mexico City called DTU that runs out of basically like an abandoned looking like junkyard. And like they just like they'll throw people through like car windshields and all kinds of stuff like that. Anyway, but yeah, so I mean that's the thing. Like, oh, how can you just jump from Japanese to Spanish? And it's like, well, over the course of your life, like I know that I'm a dabbler, but I've been on Japanese for over 15 months. After realizing how hard it is, and then not even how hard it is, but just over the course of a year and a half, man, I kind of see where I want to be, what I want to do, and stuff like that. And Japanese, sure, I would still like to learn, but after going to Mexico and knowing that I will be in Mexico probably multiple times over the course of the next year.
You always have Mexico there. I mean, it's a wonderful place.
And the other thing is, the stuff that I watch in Japanese, I mean, I can watch anime, which I don't watch a lot of anime, but let's say I wanted to watch anime. Guess what? They have Spanish like dubs and subs, right? You can watch any of that stuff.
Sure.
I don't know if I'd watch a live action movie like that just yet. Maybe once I get a little bit later. But Spanish TV is great. The show that me and my wife are watching right now has a woman that speaks Spanish in it. It's Jane the Virgin. And because the abuela, she speaks Spanish. She understands. She can't speak English, but she understands it. So she speaks in Spanish, and they speak in English to her. So I'm hearing Spanish there. I can speak Spanish everywhere. And it's just one of those things, dude. Like visiting that country really made me be like, that's where I gotta go. So that's you need to find what your motivation is in that regard to do that. I mean, that's, you know, whatever.
And I like how things came together for you. For example, like you talked about how Mexican culture was always present. You grew up with some things, you know, you have certain interests, whether it be the food or the wrestling scene, or now it's the people, now it's the experience. I think that we have to respect almost like our trajectory of life. Like you had all these things permeating, and then all of a sudden you had the thing that made it a reality. And maybe the world's telling you, hey, dude, learn Spanish, man. Like,
I mean, it keeps presenting itself, and I've went back. I mean, you know, I've talked to you in private before about, I don't know, man, maybe I'll jump on Spanish. And I was never like fully on board, but it was always in the back of my mind. But dude, after going, I was just like, this place is where I want to go and be. Like, it's great. Because the thing is, I think the biggest come to realization was, I don't care how much you think Spanish culture. Now, obviously, if you live on the border, if you live in like El Paso or something, I'm sure you get a lot more
Mexican culture.
But I mean, like, I don't care how much Mexican culture you think you're getting. You don't know, like, and I don't know Mexican culture. I've only been there for a couple of days, but it's so different than what you think it is, being exposed to it as much as we are in the United States.
I mean, it's wonderful, and there's worlds and worlds of culture. Like, it's like that whole thing that I made a tweet, and I tweeted the other last week or something, and someone asked me, like, the first question about Mexico is, well, isn't it dangerous? I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, you have all these things. Like, I had like almost like a page list of all the amazing things Mexico has, and like, you're gonna come to me with like the danger thing, but then it's like, oh, whatever. You know,
that's because that's what it's the same thing with, like I said, the United States. People see shootings happening in these like super major cities and stuff, but the average more than the average place has nothing like that at all.
Right. I mean, I was in Mexico for 2 years before even returning back home. And upon arriving in Cleveland, which that's where the airport's at, I was almost like jumped 2 times within 30 minutes. I was almost attacked where I had to almost like avoid a serious situation or like be very alert. 2 times within 30 minutes of landing. And I'm not saying there isn't danger in Mexico. There's danger in every major city or any city for that matter. But to put things into perspective, like I had 0 problems the first 2 years of being in Mexico, and I almost like was attacked twice upon arriving, like getting off the plane and going, like leaving basically. So
yep, absolutely. Let me see. Cudamar Caleb says hi, welcome. Let's see here. Let's go. Recalling vocab is hard. I can recognize words if I see them, but couldn't write or say them if I had to. Any tips? That's just getting no connections to. Oh, I have no connections to. I'm sorry. I thought you were. I read that as I have no connection to English, and I was like, dude, English is like the most overly just polluted language throughout the world. So that just comes with time. When I learned Esperanto, I learned it and I could understand it perfectly, but it didn't start. Well, I probably shouldn't have used that word, but I could not speak it until I started meeting with a guy that I know named Kyle, who he was on one of these last year. But I started meeting with Kyle because he lives semi close to me, or used to. And once I started meeting with him, it's there. The thing is, it's there. You just can't recall it as fast. You have to think about it a lot, and then it'll kind of come to you. And it's just over the course of just repetition, man. You just got to start using it. How long did it, like when you started learning Spanish? Well, of course you were in Mexico. So when you were learning Spanish, I'm sure you were going out and like, let me try to use this new concept that I learned. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't, it's funny because like, you know, even throughout the years of learning Spanish in Mexico, like I would say something and people would just be like, what? Like, what the hell did you just say? Like, what was that? And I think back to like my first early months in Mexico. Like I even had some like dates where I didn't even speak English. I thought to myself, what in the world was I saying on these dates? Like, my God, it must have been just ridiculous, you know?
That's what's funny is like, I'll try to do like, a phrase that I recently learned is, what is it? De vez en cuando. So like I will literally just walk around and be like, oh, de vez en cuando. Like I'll literally just say it over and over until now it's just become like a thing. De vez en cuando. Like I know I don't think about de vez en cuando like let's see of time and when like okay once in a while. Like I understand like the nuance of what was it? There's another one I learned today or yesterday. It was what was it? De que si? Something like how about something? Is it de que si?
So
I don't. Anyway, the point is, so that one's not quite as fresh. I'd have to go back and look at that one. But then I would just repeat that phrase over and over and over.
I'm gonna put you on the spot, Seabolt.
Oh shoot.
¿Qué haces de vez en cuando? ¿Qué haces?
¿Qué haces de vez?
¿Qué haces de vez en cuando?
Hold on.
Okay.
De hace.
¿Qué haces? ¿Qué haces?
Okay.
De vez en cuando.
De vez is like. So I'm used to hearing like.
De vez en cuando is what you just said. I said, what do you do once in a while? ¿Qué haces? ¿Qué haces? What do you do? De vez en cuando.
Yeah,
once in a while.
I gotta get the listening down because I still say vez and not bez. Debe. I was thinking of like que hace what is it? Que hace deberías? Like you should. There's or que hace deberías. You should do something or something like that.
You should deberías hacer tu tarea. You should do your homework.
Right. Yeah. So when I heard debez instead of
it's like I'm just pronouncing it correctly, Seabolt. That's the only difference.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, I gotta work on that. But I mean, I've also not had near the exposure to Spanish as I should. Yeah, well, that's embarrassing. But hey, it's only you can go up from there.
¿Estudias japonés de vez en cuando, cierto? O todos los días.
Oh, sometimes, yeah. No. No mas. What do we got here? I don't see.
Must be a Brazilian person that. Oh yeah, of course, Brazilian, of course.
I'm Brazilian. Okay.
So in Portuguese, is de vez en cuando.
De vez. I gotta get in my. Gotta get in some. I guess I can take that comment off now. I gotta get into my listening and stuff, man, because Spanish, that's the thing. It's not that pronunciation is hard, it's just that there's certain little sounds that things shouldn't make to me. Like as a non-native speaker, I'm just like, I feel like that should be, and like no Spanish speaker can tell me why a V is a B and a B is a B, but then sometimes it's like it's weird. I guess it's just the way that you just get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, I would just pronounce everything like a B, to be honest.
Just everything, yeah. That's really going to throw me into a loop when I try to tell, because I'll be like, voy a comer, and they'll be like, voy a comer. Oh, okay. I'm going to. I gotcha.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I find a little bit challenging about Spanish pronunciation, like in theory, it's simple because like you're making like consistent sounds, right? But like sometimes I find that to be like the trouble because like you have to make like every sound like kind of like strong, consistent. Whereas in English, like some get like a light emphasis or like Toronto, for example, like the first part's like kind of hard, but then it kind of like softens up at the end,
right? Yeah, because we say Toronto like TOR tour. But then it's like
not like Toronto. We're not saying that, right?
Then it's like
T-O-R. That for me is what Spanish is like. Yours like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it's like TORONNA, Toronto. I guess it'd be ONNO, Toronto. Like, yeah, I guess it's just getting used to it. Let's see. Ethan Entertainment says I always panic when speaking German. Accidentally said I was 60 instead of 16. I said it in front of like 8 people too. Yeah, numbers. I get confused. I still get confused with Japanese numbers sometimes. Like I always forget if it's 10 and then the number, or the number and then 10, or whatever the case may be. Like when I'm saying like like my age or like just anything like between the teens and then up into the 20s before I'm like, oh yeah, I think it's this way.
Yeah, my English students have, some of them have this issue.
Toronto.
Like, for example,
Oh my God, that's perfect. Cody Hartsberg. It's Trana. That's exactly how it's said. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Sorry. That's perfect.
I was saying that my English students oftentimes have this problem of pronouncing like the teen numbers with some of the later numbers, like 16 or 60. Like they'll confuse us sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like realistically, like we know the difference because we speak, but it's.
I mean, I can see why they would do it, to be honest.
16 and 60 are pretty. I mean, they're pretty close, honestly.
Even 60 and 70 in Spanish, like sometimes, like it can be kind of hard to hear the difference. And I know many people that say the same thing.
Let's see. Have you heard the phrase "No hay que confundir la velocidad con el tocino"? What?
No, I've never heard that. That's like a Duolingo sentence.
All right, it's Trana. It may be a phrase from Spain. Well, the thing is, like, even though the dialects are different, like, I don't like you would still be able to probably gather. Like, I think people think that the dialects are more different than they are. I'm not saying they're not different, and I do think if you study, you probably should. I know that Elise made a video about this recently about picking a dialect, but it's like English, American English to British English. Like, it's not going to be like I think you would still be able to get kind of the idea of a phrase. Like, I don't think it's like that.
Yeah, for the most part, but then there's like kind of like sex where it does become hard. Like even for us, like, you know, some kind of dialects of like British English or Scottish English for me, like you have to like be like paying complete attention, and that's what it's kind of like in Spanish as well, you know.
Yeah, that's true. There's a show called Dairy Girls on Netflix, and it's in English, but I have to watch it with subtitles because it's so thickly accented. Let's see here. Do you agree with Steve Kaufman's opinion that the word polyglot should not be used as much as instead the word linguist? Do you think that accurately encapsulates it, or is there a better word? I don't use the word linguist because it tends to make a lot of people upset. And I'm not meaning that negatively, but I've literally seen on Twitter, if you could have the definition of linguist perfect, but one word out of place, and people will, and I honestly, somebody may see this and roast me in the comments. I don't know. Like it's a pretty touchy word, so I don't use that word ever. But I also understand where they're coming from. I think linguistics and language learning are different. Like linguistics is kind of the study of speech and oh God, I'm going to get destroyed. Is like the study of like speech and like the pattern, like the way that your mouth moves and stuff. It's not, I don't necessarily know if it's the idea of language learning. That could be my just complete idiocy. I don't know. But yeah, I don't really, I think you should call yourself whatever you want to be called if it fits the description. And I guess you can send people my way if they want to complain about that, because I think people get way too offended about words, man.
Yeah, I mean, polyglot for me is fine for a person who speaks languages. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, it actually makes more sense for me, polyglot, than linguist. But
yeah, because I think linguist is more like into the actual like science of speaking and stuff like that.
Right. Apparently, there is some kind of definition where it kind of means polyglot as well. But I mean, the standard definition is just the study of language, right? So
yeah,
that's how I separate them. You know.
Yeah.
And as far as like these Spanish sentences, Alex, yeah, I know that the Asimov book is from Spain, right? So these are probably expressions that everyone recognizes in Spain. Like, I kind of get the gist of them, but I mean, I haven't heard of them. And in fact, I see people bashing the Asimov series. I like Asimov, and it's a quality course. So that was what I first started with when I was learning Russian. And it's really a course that's a big bang for your buck. And I'm not going to insult it.
Yeah.
I really think that's a good course, especially if you're starting with your language journey. Asimov's quality, man.
Yeah. Somebody said, someday Korean said, I have a master's in linguistics. Linguist can refer to both language lover and a student of linguistics. So there you go.
Exactly. I knew that there was
like
both
said,
of those definitions, but
yeah.
just to avoid this kind of drama, I'd make this distinction.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I've seen people go crazy on Twitter for like and I'm not, and that's a bad example, right? That's kind of the example you were talking about where people are like, is it safe in Mexico? Well, everything has bad seeds, right? Like, of course there's going to be some people who don't understand that I don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking, because I'm not a linguist. I don't study linguistics or anything like that, but I've just seen people on like Twitter go nuts about people using. So I'm really thankful that you sent that sent that message, because I honestly didn't know. Because the thing is, I honestly didn't know. I've seen people who have bashed Steve Kaufman for saying linguist when he doesn't understand the words, but then now it's like, well, no, technically there is a definition that means that. So I don't even know. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you answering that, because I literally don't know anything about linguistics. I've never studied it or anything of that. I had somebody give me a linguistics textbook, and I read the first paragraph because they were like, "Oh, no, you love languages. You might like this." You know, I have my college textbook, and I was like, "Oh, cool." And I read the first paragraph, and I was like, "I don't understand anything that was just like, I don't know what I just read. I have no idea what I just read."
I studied a bit of it. I like it. It's interesting. But like, there's linguists who are monolingual, and it's not a knock against them. It's because imagine that you are an English native speaker, and hey, you want to study the science of English. That's perfectly valid, perfectly fine. You know, I find both fields interesting, but you know, language learning is a thing that I take part in more. So
yeah, I guess if it depends on what you're trying to like. I guess if you're trying to be more serious about it, like that, to me, I'm literally just in this for fun, which is also why I stopped kind of caring as much about what like the negativity that you would get from not sticking to one method 100% of the time. Like, dude, I'm not in this to be like, I just want to have fun learning languages, man.
And I think you should continue doing like what you were doing. Like, don't feel like that you need to study one language to keep up appearances. I mean, you're gotta like discover a lot of things, you know?
Yep.
So discover.
Yep. Do you like using comic books to help with language learning? Did you read Russian comics?
I'm sure it helps. I didn't use it. Oftentimes you just kind of get an idea for some resources, go after it. You know, I thought about that, but yeah, it could be cool. Maybe it's a little light on the input side, but
yeah,
I could see its value.
Yeah, let's see. Don't see anyone other than Steve Kaufman using Linguist. I did Genki Asymil Teach Yourself in Genki 2 and could only understand maybe 15%. Yeah, Japanese is a whole different animal. Like, just because of there's so many little subtle nuances in Japanese. So I do think, I think Riker's onto something there. I think that with Japanese, definitely, I think it depends on what language you're learning, but I think with Japanese, you definitely need a lot more than
super interesting. Because have you guys ever seen that chart that talks about for English natives, like what would be the easier languages technically?
Yeah,
and it's really interesting. I was looking at this recently, and there's like, for example, there's like 5 levels, and within some of the levels, they'll have an asterisk, which indicates like the harder languages within that group. And the last group has Japanese, Chinese, Mandarin, Cantonese, and Arabic. And the only one that has an asterisk, as in this one's harder than the others, is Japanese. And I'm like, damn, even more than like Mandarin or something? But yeah, all right then, interesting.
The problem is with Japanese is it's so hard to I mean, again, it depends on what you're doing. But so like in Chinese, the symbols have a kind of a pattern to them, or not necessarily a pattern. I probably would. Anybody who's learning Chinese, just don't listen to what I'm about to say, because I'm speaking from a spot of just pure being an idiot here. But I believe there's more of a pattern where you can at least know which symbols are together, because I think Luke Truman told me one time that most of the time they're in like a set of 2. Like, it'll be like 2 symbols. Like, very occasionally you would get like 3 symbols. The problem with Japanese is you have to already have kind of an understanding. Obviously you can get there, but it's almost like you have to have an understanding of even how that works before you can get to it, because sometimes you'll have a kanji and then you'll have some hiragana that bleeds because there's no spaces. So it'll bleed right into another set of hiragana that's actually going into a grammar point that then leads into another kanji. And so it's like, where is the stop here? And again, it's stuff that you can learn a little bit over time, but I think it's so much harder to get into. And then you've got like Korean with Hangul, which is super easy to learn, and they use spaces. And but Korean's pronunciation is a little bit harder than Japanese, so I guess that's the thing. But it's just the writing system, man. Because like when I would use,
but I was actually kind of, yeah.
I was just gonna say, because it's just parsed weird. So you would go and you'd click on it, whether you're using Link or Learn Languages with Netflix or any extension browser, whatever the case may be. And sometimes they would just group the hiragana wrong because that also is a word, but then this extra na means that it's part. It's a whole big crazy thing.
Yeah, I was looking through Group 4, which is the one that Russian's in, and I actually felt a little bit of relief that Russian wasn't a asterisk language within Group 4. I was like, thank God. Nice. I mean, that's, the languages that are asterisks in Group 4 are Mongolian, Thai, Vietnamese, Georgian, Finnish, Estonian. All right, which I was surprised that Vietnamese was in Group 4. I figured they would be right there with the other Group 5 ones, but hey, I guess not. Thai as well.
I guess Vietnamese gets a slight pass because it's Latin based, like the alphabet.
Maybe that's why.
But Lord Almighty, dude, Vietnamese is a language I would give anything to learn, except for the next 40 years of my life. Like, dude, it's so crazy. It's so cool, but it's so hard.
I recently watched a couple of videos of Japan, Vietnam, and man, looks really cool actually. Like. Yeah. Just by watching a few videos of tourists, dude, I was like, dang, that looks actually quite nice. I like that.
There's a channel, I don't know if this channel is still called this. Let me look. I haven't watched them in a long time, but there's a channel, there's actually a couple. There's one called Rusty Compass. Rusty Compass. Let me see if he still uploads. Yeah, 1 week ago. He'll do videos of traveling to different areas within Vietnam. Actually, it looks like he's in Tasmania right now, so maybe he's not in Vietnam anymore. But anyway, he would do a lot of, because he lived in Vietnam for a long time. And there's another thing. What's this dude's name? Kyle Lee, I think. Yeah, KyleLee.net. KyleLE.net. And he does a lot of Vietnamese stuff. Anyway, you can go check those channels out. But
yeah, it's actually kind of interesting to find like random YouTubers that are like based in that country that talk about that country. A couple weeks ago, I got one of some dude that lives in Sweden. I think it was because I watched Days of French and Swedish, right? So I think that like that Sweden thing got picked up and thrown into my YouTube. And I'm like, all right, let me check this out. So I learned some things about Sweden I didn't know. Interesting.
All right, I'll just get that off the screen. Yes, man, I like that whole area. It's funny because you said Finnish was a level 4. Like category
it was
4.
level 4, but asterisk.
Yeah, it's because they have more cases. They have like 14 or 15 cases. Like because Russian has 7.
6.
Yeah, is it 6? Okay. I really at some point want to learn, not to like a total crazy fluent, but I would love to give like a good 6 months or so to just going crazy on Finnish, man. I don't know why. There's just something about Finnish, man.
Of course, another language for me like that would be interesting just because it's so like mysterious is Basque, because that's a language that they don't even know how it got there. It was like, oh, so we have this language in Spain. It's called Basque. It has nothing to do with any Romance language, but it's just chilling there. And
it's just here.
Yeah.
I always think about too when people are talking about Romance languages. Everybody forgets Romanian, like, because Romanian is a Romance language, but it has a very,
it's kind of forgotten in a way.
It sounds, but like anybody, it's like, I want to learn Romance languages, and it's like, yeah, okay, Spanish, French, Italian,
Portuguese,
any Romanian, Portuguese, but it means everybody
gets not much love, and Galician even less, which is very similar to Portuguese.
Yeah, But I dig. I think Romanian's cool. Romanian also, though, to be fair, even though it's a Romance language, there's a woman that speaks Romanian. Well, I don't know if she still works there. That she worked at a store down here, and it when she spoke, this is when I was studying Russian for a bit, and her accent, I was like, oh my god, dude, I might get to practice some Russian. I was about to bust out my old classic, man, my Ya Немного Понимаю Peru. I was about to bust it out, and I was like, "Where are you from?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm from Romania." And I was like, "Oh." And so when I went to look it up, and I was like, "It's a Romance language?" Because she spoke a little bit of Romanian, and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And it has a Slavic sound to it. It's really weird.
Well, I know as much as it does, yes, which is interesting for a Romance language.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. What's your opinion on government level language learning, FSI or DLI? I think it's just kind of a guide to. It's just a thing. Like the FS, none of that stuff's perfect. It's just kind of a baseline to kind of judge where you're at.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the DLI yet. DLI.
Yeah, I don't know what DLI
is. In terms of the course, it's just a resource. That's all.
I read and heard that SEAL Team 6 is using sensory deprivation tanks to learn languages. That sounds insane. I think here's honestly what happens in my opinion on a lot of this stuff. So, people forget Romania. Yeah, absolutely. So here's what I think happens. I think that a company like, we'll say Rosetta Stone, for example, I think they sell their product to the government. I think the government then tells people, hey, you're going to work as an interpreter. We need you to learn this language. Okay, great. So this person's job is being an interpreter. Therefore, they're spending 8 to 10 hours a day learning this language. Therefore, they can then say, so the thing is, they're spending 8 hours a day. So then they can say, this is teaching languages faster. It's not that it is, it's that they're also spending time. Same thing with the deprivation tanks, right? Regardless of how long they're in a deprivation tank, they're probably still spending 8 to 10 hours a day learning. So it makes it feel like they've learned more in 6 weeks. If you take them out of that deprivation tank, I mean, I guess it's a form of meditation, so it can clear your mind. So I'll give them a slight lead there, but like it has a lot more to do with the time put in and not the other stuff that you've got going on around that. Like there's obviously things that can enhance that and stuff. Like if you get more sleep or whatever the case may be to clear your mind. But at the end of the day, if I'm studying 8 to 10 hours a day, I could be like, like my son brought over this. He wanted some lotion on him today, right? Baby lotion. And so if I said, hey, I lathered my hands in baby lotion and rubbed them together for 30 seconds a day, I learned Spanish so much quicker. But it's not because I am using this. It's because I'm not spending 2 hours a day on Spanish. It's because I'm spending 5 hours a day on Spanish. Like I think that happens a lot more than what people think.
All I know is if I could get some old KGB files, I would want the ones. How did they train their foreign spies to speak languages so well? I want to know the KGB strategy on language learning. Please let us know for the help of humanity and language learning as we know it. Reveal those files.
They actually came to the future and got Elon Musk after he developed that chip that translates languages immediately. That's what it was. They have time travel. It's crazy, man. That's what I'm going with. People forget. People do forget Romanian is a Romance language. That would be life, just absorbing languages all day. Mm-hmm. KGB Duolingo. They said they guide you into an ideal state to take in information. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that meditation and anything that clears your mind, because the thing is, you're going 24/7. Like me, from the minute I wake up, I've got stuff I'm doing. Whether it be doing stuff with my son or studying a bit or doing some of the work that I have to do, doing this, that, or the other. After he goes to bed, I'll do more stuff that I have to do, study a bit, whatever the case may be. And when I'm going to sleep, I'm usually my brain never shuts off. And I do think that we are overstimulated. And I think that
I'll be right back.
affects. Okay. And I do think that affects people because it's overstimulation. Your brain never shuts off. Like there's never a 10 or 15 minute period where you're just kind of just letting your brain relax. So I definitely think it's a real thing. But yeah, I don't know about any of that. They tested 80% retention rate after 6 months. Like in a flashcard, I'll have to look this up. I mean, it sounds interesting. I'm not discrediting it, but yeah, I mean, there definitely is something to like I said, like the idea of meditation and clearing your mind. Like your brain needs a break, that's for sure. They also, I would envision they probably also get a set amount of sleep as well, versus like the average person like me that's sleeping like 5 hours a night and then going crazy all day.
I want to give a shout out to the guys from Lingoholics podcast, man. You know how we were talking about, sometimes you could just sense you would get along with some guys, that you'd be friends with them just by watching their stuff. You would like them. When I watched one of their videos or interviews, I'm like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And I knew I wanted to do their podcast. It was a lot of fun. Those are good guys. I know you did it too. They wrote about my friend Ali from Langaholic, which is one of my favorite dudes, like, period. This guy's awesome, man. Yeah. So you guys got to get him on the podcast. I can't wait for that episode.
Yeah, dude. They on their podcast was the first place that I talked about before I had went to. Well, I had kind of mentioned it, but it was the first place that I had mentioned going and living with the Navajos before I did it. I didn't.
Right. It was like before the 40-hour 7-day language challenge too, right?
Yep. It was like
I heard that. It was a good episode.
Good night, everyone. Buenas noches todos. Buenas noches. Lingoholics. Yes, Lingoholics is
Buenas
great.
noches, Alex Chapman. Where are you from? England, USA? Where?
Learn in 2 weeks, asterisk, but you need to do 8 hours per day. But you can't just use this little app for 2 weeks. Just binge Lingoholics over 2 weeks. Caught up yesterday. Yeah, they do really good stuff, man. Super cool guys.
Quality.
I'm actually really impressed at how Alabama. You're from Alabama. Nice.
Oh, nice, awesome, cool.
I'm really impressed with how they can conduct an interview and
be like in different places, different time zones.
Yeah, there's 3 of them. Like when I did it, there was 3, and it blows my mind at how well paced and organized, and like, I don't know if not talking over each other is the right phrase, but like just the idea of how 3 people can be interviewing one person and it works so well. Like, it's pretty cool.
Cool, man. Yeah, for sure. And what's really nice is what I like about it is because like it's really like a group thing. It's like it's literally, that's what it is. Like a bunch of friends just getting together, like just talking languages and telling stories. And that's really cool because like, for me, it's usually I talk to people about languages, which is a miracle enough. I could connect myself with people that like languages, but it's usually like a one-on-one thing. But with them, it's like, a nice group dynamic. There's 3 of them that have a very nice, dynamic. And then they bring someone else in, and it's cool.
Yeah. It's funny that you said that, like that you it's cool that you can bring people in, because I was thinking about this the other day. I have made more I have made more friends that I talk to people that I've met on the internet more than people that like I went to school with and stuff. Like there's still like some friends that I keep in touch with, obviously. Like I have a friend that comes up like multiple times a week. We'll watch like basketball, football. Like we just hang out. Like we just been friends since school or whatever. But most of the people that I talk to on a regular basis, and it's because of the interest. It's because of the interest in whether it be YouTube or whether it be languages. I talk to people more so regular that I've met online that I've never met in person than I do quote unquote my own friends. I talk to you. I talk to Tyler that does Tongue Tied blog, or I'll talk to I mean, just the plethora of people that I talk to. There's people who don't do a lot of. There's a girl named Rose that I talk to all the time. There's I mean, there's just so many people. Like, if I go and look at my chats right now in like Facebook, it's literally Mark Bogard, Shalma, Adriana, this girl that works in game, she has a YouTube channel, but Rose, like, it's all people from YouTube. Like, it's all people that I've met because of this passion of YouTube and languages, and that's amazing.
Like, it's it's. I'll tell you a story. So, I used to be really into metal in high school, right? Mm-hmm. And like, I was basically the only one in my grade that listened to metal. I only saw like one person in the grade above that like would wear metal shirts. I'm like, okay, so he's a metal fan. So I couldn't really talk to him or anything. But I was like really the only fan in my grade that I knew of. I didn't have anybody to talk to about metal. I got to college. I met one kid that was like knew about all these bands and albums I did. That it was just like an instant connection. And I think it's almost like that way of language learning, because it's such a peculiar interest that not many people have, but like people who are into it are really into it. So you connect, me and you, for example, we could literally talk to 6 o'clock in the morning. I mean,
absolutely.
And I think it's also because like it's like that, but it's also like a very noble interest. And like the people who are interested in such a noble interest are usually not shallow people. So it's natural that we all like connect for the most part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. All right. I know we're an hour and a half in. I do want to talk about the 40-hour 7-day language challenge, but I'm going to do a couple more comments here and then we'll talk. And again, people can keep, we need to talk about some stuff with the, just things that I had lined up. But at the end of the day, you guys are watching. That's who makes the channel go. That's who we talk to. Let me go scroll back up because I know Jumper Deer says love their episode on multilingual hockey. Now, I don't actually. That's the one sport. I'm so sorry to my Canadians. I don't follow. I need to follow hockey. That's my goal. I know that the Stanley Cup is happening like right now. You know what? Next year, I'm going to follow hockey for all my Canadians out there. Do you think learning Esperanto helped you learn Spanish? Well, all right, let's read the whole thing here. I read something that was like French learners who learned 6 months of Esperanto cut 2 years. Yeah, so that's a real study that what's his name? Tim Morley, I believe, did, where they took 2 groups of students. One learned Esperanto for 6 months. One went right into French. And after a year, so it was 6 months of Esperanto, and then I think 6 months of French versus just 1 year of French completely through. The people who learned Esperanto first learned French. They were at a higher level. So to answer your question, I do think that it helped with Spanish, but I don't know a lot of my Spanish. I need to dust off my Spanish is what it is. At one point, I was a B1 Spanish, I guess, understander, I'll say. Maybe not speaker, but entiendo. But do I think so? Here's what I think. Even though I wouldn't say that I speak Esperanto anymore. I haven't used it since 2017 or 18. So like I literally have not even spoke or been in any of the groups that I'm in or anything like that for 3 or 4 years now. But I do think it helps, and the reason is because it's incredibly easy. And Esperanto, I struggled with everything until I learned Esperanto to a conversational level, simply because it taught me how to learn a language. And it also taught me how to think in another language and not just this idea of just translating stuff all the time. I do think that it can help. I think it's hard if you don't have it. I had a genuine interest in Esperanto. I was like, man, somebody actually created a language that's like a full-blown language. Like it's not like it was created for the most part, but it's still not complete. Like, no, you can literally anything that you would want to talk about, there's words for it or whatever. I do think it can help because I think it can help understand how to learn a language, and especially from where the verb conjugations, there's not 10 million or any, like it's, everything's conjugated, whether it's you, he, she, it, they, we, us, you all, it's all conjugated the same way. I think it can help. I really do. That's just my personal opinion. But also, to be fair, I think if you learn Spanish, I think learning Korean would be easier. And it's not because there's any correlation. It's because once you learn a language, you kind of understand how to better learn a language versus somebody who's learned a second language and speaks two, I think can learn a language better than somebody who speaks one, just because they know what they're doing at this point a little bit more than the person who's just getting into it. So I don't know if it has as much to do with Esperanto as much as just the idea of learning a language to begin with.
Bueno, vas bien con el español, Alex. Sigue adelante, sigue aprendiendo. El español es un idioma muy increíble, entonces vas bien.
Vas
Little
bien.
message for Alex.
Alex Trotman. Oh, yeah. Lingoholic says you got to shut your brain down once in a while. Yeah, I did the meditation thing for a little bit, but it was getting to where, like, I know it's so stupid, but I didn't have time. I have time now, man. I would like to start meditating for like 10 or 15 minutes a day. Like, the problem is I need like some noise canceling headphones or something. Or I guess I could just like go sit in my car, but then it would like start getting hot and stuff. Like, because my son, he's bouncing off the walls 24/7. I mean, he's the 4-year-old kid, so it's hard for me to. Thank God he used the Inya and not the in. But yeah, like it's I think it could. I definitely think it could help.
It's funny. I remember like being on your Discord, Seabolt, and Emmy is like, "Oh, you speak Spanish, Mark? I forgot that. I'm so used to you as like the Russian guy. So some people even forget that I do, speak Spanish because like, I'm more involved in like the Russian thing right now. But
right.
I mean, what do you want to do? It's my second language.
Nah, yeah. Let me see.
De nada.
Just says, I've gotten pretty far with Japanese thinking of laddering into Russian. Y'all think you can use an immersion style method with Russian and go light on the grammar? I do, because Mark did that. Mark went, not necessarily immersed. I mean, he immersed, but not quite like the idea of like refold or anything like that. But he didn't. I
took a non-grammar approach, and it's a good question, and I'm going to give you my honest answer. Right? This should be a video that I should make, but I'm going to give you like a resume. Is that right? A summary.
Mark is applying for a job.
Yeah, exactly. Resumen in Spanish, resumen. Isn't that funny? Like, I just made a mistake with English because that was like a Spanish word. So,
right.
I mean, for me, I don't think, oh, what the hell? I think that's fascinating, don't you think? I just made a mistake right there. I said like
30 years into the game, still making
exactly.
Mistakes.
So how can I ever expect perfection in anything? So forget about that. So anyway, to get back into it,
I'm actually gonna jot that down. I'm gonna upload that as just a clip. I need to write down that time period. I'm just gonna upload that as like one of the YouTube shorts, because that's amazing. So we are
okay.
32. Go ahead.
So look, I checked out how Russian was for like a long time. I had wanted to study Russian for a long time, even though I was focusing on Spanish. I would still check out things about, Russian. Like, for example, if you go check out Steve Kaufman's video about Russian, that has like, I don't know, like 300, 400,000 views. Like, he talks a lot about it. He breaks it down. And, I kind of just wanted to see what I could accomplish without the grammar, just doing input work. And what I found was, I did it for 2 years. I really wanted to do it for a year and a half. I should have done it for a year and a half. Didn't work out that way. And I did like literally no grammar, like never opened a grammar book, nothing. You pick up certain patterns, right? I think the most common ones you pick up, right? But then I feel like there's a second level of like grammar patterns that started to make more sense when I actually looked a little bit into the grammar, right? And they were things that I had acquired, but not to the level of reproduction, right? So once I got a little bit of just like, oh, that's what that is. Oh, I get it now. Like things like click together. Like, so, Days of French and Swedish had a video recently about like, can you achieve a native, let's say, level in a language or whatever, was it native accents or something? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, but you literally have to spend like insane amounts of time on it and for like years and years and years. And I kind of feel like that's my opinion right now with Russian. Like if you take like a no grammar approach, or for like a long time, like crazy amount of years, all right, sure, you could do it, but like that's, I feel like it's not feasible in so many aspects. And it's interesting to have done that kind of experiments, because I can see like kind of the limitations of it, because there's just so much going on. Sometimes just like a little touch and saying, oh, this is what's happening, can really help, know? So I found that I absorbed some of the grammar. Some of it was activated when I learned a little bit about it. Mm-hmm. And then the grammar is so complex that I can't even tell you that there's aspects of it that I completely like absorbed or even like get turned on by a little bit light study. It's just like, what the hell is that? Right. Like what in the world is that? I remember reading like a simple sentence and it had the word love in it. And it was like switching to some kind of grammar case that I had never seen the word love in. And I was like, what in the world is this? And I'm like, I really had trouble to figure that out. So, it's just a journey. That's all I can say, man.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's see here. But learning Romance language. Yes. Matt is the meditation god, right? Meditation tutorial collab. Maybe. That'd be hilarious. Insane work. Seabolt Nation. Gringo Cabazon. Yes. We are all here. All right. Guys, keep sending your questions in. We will get to those. But I want to talk for a minute about 40-hour, 7-day language challenge. We just completed one in April. April. And I know I tweeted today about getting something set up. I would like to do another one maybe sometime soon. But with the 40-hour, 7-day language challenge, I want to know if there's anything that anybody has any questions. Well, I mean, I'm going to talk to Mark about it, but you guys can ask, because there seems to be a lot of questions. And I made the video of what is the 40-hour, 7-day language challenge. And that's the thing. I think there's a lot of people who think you have to study.
We already had a video about that, actually.
40, about the 40 hours. But like, so the next time that we do it, though, from where like I work from home, I'm going to. I think I'm gonna try to do the 40 like active hour. Like I don't even count passive stuff anymore, because I just found that it gets a little. I started becoming attached to the numbers, right? Like I started becoming attached to this idea of what I could get, and at the point of passive listening, outside of just having a number go up, I was like, whatever. So the next one, I'm just gonna count active. And I'm not even counting like immersion. So I use this app for tracking my time. It's literally just called a time logger. And if you look at the week in Spanish, like I don't have. So this is it. Literally, it's study. I just have it listed as study. I don't have it as individual time. So I've done 6 hours, which is since 2 days ago, actually. But I don't have it set, and actually 3 hours of that was today, but I don't have it set to where I track like study, whether I'm using like a book or whatever the case may be, and then immersion and then Anki time. And look, if I'm spending time with the language, that's just what I'm counting. If I do 5 minutes on Duolingo, it's 5. Like I got so focused on these numbers. I just want to know how much time I'm spending with the language, because at the end of the day, to me, this is a cardinal sin of what I'm about to say to a lot of people. But I think that that's the most important part, is just spending time with the language. Obviously, there's things that are more beneficial than not, but if you're learning new words and you're putting them into context and you're seeing them, like that's the key. So I stopped counting immersion and counting study and counting Anki time and counting passive listening and active listening and reading and all. It's active time with if I'm spending time with the language, learning it, regardless of what it is, that's what I count.
Of course. I mean, if you ask me what my secret to language learning is, it's just the fact that I do it every day. So I mean,
yeah,
there it is, revealed.
Anyway, we should plan. We'll talk about that more, I guess. We should plan another 40-hour, 7-day language challenge.
I have an idea when it's going to be. I actually did Lindy had me on her channel, and she kind of wanted to know when it was. So I kind of spilled the beans then. So I'm really just kind of waiting for that interview to come out, and we'll put a date, and
heck yeah,
that'll be that.
That'll be super, super cool. I'm excited. I'm excited for
it.
But
it's not too far away, guys. It's not too far away.
Heck yeah. I enjoy some language challenges. Do y'all drink coffee when you sit down to study? Like, does it increase focus or make you too energetic? That's a good question for Robin McPherson.
Oh man, that guy is on the coffee, dude. Like,
yeah.
It's like almost like it's a coffee / language channel almost. No, it's not, but I mean, he loves coffee, man.
He does. See, I don't like coffee. I don't drink coffee. I don't. I'll get into it occasionally, where I'll drink a little bit, but for the most part, I'm not a coffee drinker.
I'm into it. I got into it some years ago.
See, I don't like hot. I don't like drinking stuff hot. Like, I don't even like hot cocoa and stuff that much. Like, I like cold drinks. So I will drink like cold brew coffee. As a matter of fact, when I was in Mexico, one of the things I drank, we went to Starbucks. There was a Starbucks right outside of our hotel, and so we went down there to get something, and Shama was like, "You can order yours this time," and I was like, "All right, cool." So I went over there and I was looking at the menu, and I was like, "I know exactly what I'm getting," because it was in English on the menu, and it was like a cold brew vanilla.
Cold, exactly.
And but that's
in Mexico, they just say cold brew.
Yeah, but that's what I love. I like cold. I don't like hot. It just doesn't taste good to me. I don't know. I can't. But dude, there's people that swear. Like, there's people that I know in real life that will straight up get offended about you not drinking coffee.
I mean, I've become a fan of it in the past some years, and I really like it. And although I only do have 2 cups of coffee, like one during my break, like in the morning around 10ish, and then I'll have one right when I start my my main area of my main time frame of language study. So, and at night I will have some tea, and I do find it kind of gets me in the mood, right?
Right.
It's funny, when I started studying Russian, I bought myself a bottle of vodka and a box of tea, because in Russia, tea is huge. After that first bottle of vodka, I never bought it again, but I kept the tradition with the tea. So, hey, it's another thing. I like it.
There you go.
It's all good.
It's funny. I'm always drinking. I know I drink soda a lot on these streams, but I actually drink a lot of like water. Again, my stature may or may not promote that idea, but I actually do. Just Josh in Japan says, "Preach it. I make my 10 basic cards a day, then just do whatever I want in the language. I don't track anything. I don't spend time making audio video cards. Beauty is simplicity." Yes, I agree. Jumper Deer says, "I drink green or black tea before reading grammar." Interesting. Okay, you know what? I take that back. I do like. Oh, Jericho Dempsey. That's my buddy Josh. That's his kid. What's up, man? He just started jujitsu this like a couple of weeks ago. I do like tea, actually. I do like hot tea. That is one thing I'll drink. I actually have I point like you guys can see it, but I have a whole cabinet that's just full of tea. Not like McDonald's sweet tea, but like, the tea.
I recently learned that in China that you can just drink hot water.
Yeah, that sounds not fun.
Yeah, the Krashen comment. Yeah, I learned from Krashen. Well, he talks about that, to delay Alzheimer's, there's 3 things that are really good for you: coffee, reading, and studying a foreign language. So Krashen says, do them all together. What a combination. I mean, hell, that's a great combination for me. Yeah. I love it. Hopefully it'll keep that Alzheimer's at bay.
Yeah. I think speaking of reading, that's one thing I'm actually going to do. I know in the Refold book club this month, they're doing Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, which I can't fully quite explain my love of the Percy. I've still only read the first two, but I love that series of books. I know that you probably wonder. I have the spider. I bought a spider catcher. I'm really like fidgety. Like I'm sure people can probably tell my personality. Yeah, I can't just like sit places. Like I don't know. I'm just always going. So I bought this thing, and it's just this long contraption, and you pull this trigger, and these like brushes open, and then you put it over like a spider, like a bug, and it just catches. Anyway, that's a random story. But when I lifted my hand up like this to scratch my face, I was like, man, people are gonna see that spider. I should probably explain that. But I think I'm gonna try to read The Lightning Thief in Spanish.
Nice.
I think is the
for the next 40-hour 7-day language challenge, we do Spanish. Spanish.
Yeah. Because I think Spanish is going to be what Japanese was last year, except
cool.
I'm going to actually try to be efficient at it.
Nice.
Like I'm so bad at not. Well, you know what? I'm not even bad. You know what? I've spent 15 months on Japanese, and I think instead of spending another 15 months in Japanese and getting a little bit better, knowing that I guarantee you I will be in Mexico again before the year ends, 100%. So it just makes sense for me.
Even just to visit me?
Yeah, that's the trip I'm probably talking about, because I'm going to come to Mexico City for a couple of days. Because the thing is, like that's the thing. I can get to Mexico City on a flight for much cheaper than I could ever get to Japan. Like I could get to Mexico like 3 or 4 times with the cost. You know what I mean? Like versus going to Japan, especially from the East Coast.
And I come back to my original point. Like follow how life plays out. Maybe life's trying to say, "Hey, come on now, come on." Yeah. I gave you this little push. Now take advantage of it.
Yep. Well, and the thing is, so many of my friends speak Spanish too. Like I'm always like, man, I wish I had people to talk to, and I'm like, well, in Spanish, I literally know 4 or 5, 5 or 6 people that speak Spanish, like who have even just learned Spanish as a second language.
For sure.
Like,
I mean, I know your first interest was Japanese, but things change, things evolve, things happen in your life that make you go a certain way. So, I mean, go with the wave. Don't go against it.
Dude, I need to make a video on this. When I talked to Lindy last year, when I did the thing on her channel, I had talked in that video about this idea of language guilt. The idea, and I need to make a full-blown video on it, because she had talked about like the point of it, but the idea of feeling like you have to do something just because you've invested time into it or something like that. If something changes, man, like exactly. There's no point in like sticking with it or not. And look, the thing is, usually I fail, and it's not that I'm not interested in Japanese anymore. I very much am. It's just I have a legitimate.
We have to follow,
dude. I have I'm trying to think of a great example. All right, when you were a kid, right? All right, I'll use myself as an example. When I was a kid, I used to play with wrestling figures all the time, right? Play with them, have my little matches and stuff like that. I don't do it anymore. It's just not something I do. Like, things change. Last year, I was learning Japanese. I had a major focus and a major. Also, I was supposed to go to Japan last year. And then, I don't know if you know this or not, there was this weird thing that happened that shut the entire world down for a brief minute. But, and I think that probably derailed a lot of it, because that was the thing. I was like, I need to get on this. I'm going to go to Japan, blah, blah, blah. Now, God only knows if I'll ever make it to Japan. Who knows? So, it's just one of those things. So,
but something's for sure. You've always had this lingering presence of Spanish around. You went to Mexico. You liked it. You're going back again. I mean, whether it's for work or to visit me, I mean, like, this is one of the best cities in the world. I mean,
yeah, Mexico City seems cool. I'm anxious to try like some different food down there. Like, I mean, because I mean, if it gets better or if it stays the same as what Mexicali had or anything like I for some reason I still struggle with Mexicali to Calexico, but I know Calexico is the United States. I know it, but it's when I'm speaking at a normal speed, it's like my brain stutters a second.
Gotcha.
But I mean, if Mexico City has food half as good as Mexicali, man, shoo. I'm just gonna take a flight down there just to eat the food. Chinese people believe.
So I mean, I say go for it. I mean, don't feel so pressured by a lot of your audience who are obsessed with Japanese. I mean, don't feel this guilt that you were talking about, man. Be true to yourself, and sure, you may get some backlash, but man, you've probably gotten that all your life, and you've always dealt with it and brushed it off.
I was talking to Matt today about that, and he was like, "Dude, you don't have to explain your language journey to anybody. It's yours." And I was like, I talked to Matt because I was like, "Look, man, I know that that we've talked before, and I was like, I just don't want you to think that I'm like legit giving up. It's just there's different things that are happening in my life, like where it's finally a time where I'm like, Spanish makes the most sense, and it's not even like I'm learning it for work, like because that's the thing. A lot of people are like, I'm going to learn a language for work, right? Well, it's hard to stay motivated if you're learning it for work or you're
for sure.
But now there's like an actual motivation. Like I've totally, I don't know. I just going to Mexicali changed my life, dude. Like get straight up. Also, like. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I could talk about Mexicali.
I mean, that's what Mexico does, man. Like, I've known so many people, like, since I've been here since 2014, practically everyone who has come here has stayed here. I mean, so this is a reason. Like, I mean, I'm talking from, England, Canada, States, California. I mean, Mexico gets inside you and it changes you, and thankfully it's for the better,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Jumper Deer says Chinese people believe drinking ice water is bad for your health. That's actually, is there a thing? No, I know what I'm thinking of is if you drink ice water, it makes your metabolism go faster because it has to heat the water up. That's interesting that they think that though.
But if I want to take, Chinese people's advice on one thing, I want to take it on like the aging process because man, they have some long lives and they must be doing something right.
Yeah. It's weird that it's like that because one of the first sentences that you learn, not one of the first sentences, but when you're learning beverages, they don't just teach you shui for water. They always teach you bing shui, which is ice water. So that's interesting. So that they literally teach you like, wo xiguan bing shui. I want ice water. I would like ice water, whatever. So that's interesting. Jericho has read it in it. Yeah, I love Percy Jackson. It's one of my favorites. Legitimately. Don't Spanish speaker have an easier time with Japanese? Well, I don't think it's an easier time. I think the thing is the two fastest spoken languages in the world are Japanese and Spanish. Japanese is like 7.8 syllables a second, and Spanish is like 7.6. So I think it's just the idea of being able to understand faster speech because Spanish people, I don't even know if they speak faster, but Spanish has a lot of like, especially with reflexive, right? Like you add a little te or le or lo or mi or like you can add multiple syllables. Like for example, even me gusta, a mí me gusta, a mí me gusta. That's 4 syllables in like a quarter of a second.
Well, I heard this comparison about the Spanish and the Japanese thing before. It's because as I understand it, like phonetically speaking, like there's a lot of overlap in sounds, and that's why I understand that there is some kind of correlation. But I guess it would just be more so in terms of pronunciation, and so that's it.
Yeah, I think there's probably sounds I think there are definite benefits of like sounds in different languages, like that you natively have. That's just harder to pick up. Is there a Spanish version of the infamous Nihongo Jozu? I don't know. Have language guild about Japanese since it was my first language I learned and got me in. Yeah, language. I'm going to make a video about language guild very, very soon. I was going to do it last week, but got me into, oh, sorry, it's a continue, into the community online, and now I'm really into Korean and only stopped dabbling in it sometime last month. No, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, dude. Like, you know, and I think it's one of those things, like, I enjoy talking about language. I think a lot of people don't like to listen to me talk about language since I'm not, like, the greatest at anything, but, like, that's not why I didn't start my channel to be Matt versus Japan or Shauma or Moses, or, like, I just love talking about like this is one of the only things where people get like upset with you talking about stuff. Like, dude, I talk about pro wrestling all the time. I'm not a pro wrestler. Like,
right. I mean, like, everyone can have their niche. Everyone can be who they are. And you, from the get-go, were a guy who liked to study, well, get involved with a lot of languages, learn information about languages, culture, right. And that's perfectly valid. You gave Japanese a great amount of your time and effort, and that was cool. But it doesn't mean that you just like stuck to one route. I mean, you can go back to like the essence of your channel in the first place. I mean, it doesn't need to be just one thing.
Nah, man, absolutely. And that's the thing. There's so much you can learn about like cultures and stuff like that. Like that, I think would be cool. I have a lot of ideas of stuff that I want to do. Like I really want to do like an all-day live stream of like just completing a full Duolingo tree in just a day. Like I love, like that's what I want to do. Like I want to do, and then of course still have the main like language or whatever that I'm learning, but I want to start doing stuff because that's what I love, you know.
Right.
And I love experiencing stuff. Like I wish that I had the mentality, and for the last 15 months I did. For the last 15 months it's been nothing but Japanese, and it's been incredible.
Right, and now you've got both sides of the coin. So, I mean, I just keep on saying the same thing, but I don't want you to like do something just because you think that it's what you must do. I mean,
yeah,
like I said, things change, and look at this experience that you've had, and look at your mentality now. And I mean, Japanese will be there, but hey, Spanish is like a realistic thing in your life now due to circumstances. Yeah. I mean, you weren't expecting like your professional circumstances to change like that, but you rolled with the punches, and look how much your life has.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's been
improved
crazy
as a result.
Absolutely.
So keep on rolling with the punches, man.
Cool. Rolling with the punches. Rolling with the fun fact. So speaking of rolling with the punches, this company right here, ICW No Holds Barred, they ran a show in New Jersey, and the show got rained out, and so they had to move into like this barn, and they postponed the show until the next day. And then after the next day, there was this weird thing, like some guys got injured and stuff like that. And I tweeted to him, and I said, if ICW doesn't name their next show ICW Rolling with the Punches, I said it's a missed opportunity. And they named their next show ICW Rolling with the Punches.
Oh, wow. That's sick.
It was like volume 6. Like,
shoot.
Yeah.
Dang. What was I going to say though? Oh, yeah. For example, like that was one aspect that I liked about you, like as a fan before we even really became like, you know, friends, is that like you could talk about languages like all day, and you could switch about this language. I could, you know, oh, that language is like that. Oh, this language is like that. That was cool. Like I actually became less interested like in your podcast. Mm-hmm. I became less interested in your podcast when it just became all about Japanese. Because for me, that was like, oh, right. You know, a little bit of Japanese is cool, but it just became like, like literally Japanese, boom.
Right.
And for me, it lost a little bit of its kind of, I mean, as like the language fan that I am, I want to hear about
a bunch of different stuff.
People to come on and talk about this language, that language. I want you to converse with them, not just like the Japanese show. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no. And that's what I plan on doing is getting people, not only just people learning, but like there's people that I follow that teach, like there's a girl that I follow named Cat Chats that teaches Finnish. Like that's
awesome.
Like just somebody, I don't even learn Finnish, but literally just talking to someone, and her English is so good. Like I want to get somebody from that area who can explain to me why people from Sweden, Iceland, Norway, and Finland are just so freaking good at English. Like it bothers me at how amazing people from that area can speak English. Like,
right. I had a friend here. She was Finnish, and like we would hang out, and she would like just speak English, and her English was practically perfect. And then one day we were at like a bar, and she starts speaking Finnish, and it was literally like, what is this? Because like her English is so good that you would forget that she spoke another language, and then like Finnish comes out of her mouth, and it's like, what is oh my wow, like it's just like it's crazy.
What's really weird is the reason that it's weird to me is there's a lot of sounds in those languages that aren't in. So like a lot of like, it's like they get like pronunciation or something because there's sounds that they make, but then I don't know, man. It's just weird. Like and that's what gets. It's not even the vocabulary. It's that their usage of the sound. Like it sounds like an English person. Like intonation and any of that stuff, it sounds how an English person would speak, and it blows my mind that not just because for example like Dutch people, right, a lot of people that speak Dutch, the T sounds are always a duh, right, like, oh, what's over there, that's like, and that'll come out just, and I don't mind. If anybody loves broken like I love it, dude. I love hearing people with accents because it lets me know that, hey, they've spent time doing something, whatever. But like a lot of times like Danish, or not Danish, like Dutch, that'll come out. But then like these people from like Sweden and Norway and Finland and Iceland, and it's just like they'll speak and I'm like, oh, they must have moved there, and they're like, oh no, yeah, lived in Iceland my whole life, or lived in Finland, and I'm like,
sure. What? I had a buddy from Holland here, and like the day we met, I asked him, what part of the States are you from? And he says, I'm from Holland. I'm like, what? Jesus.
Yeah.
That's
one of the guys that we went to Mexico with is a dude named Nate, who he actually has a YouTube channel called Nate's Adventure. But his Spanish is so good that when he told people that he was from the United States, they were like, what? Like it blew their mind because his Spanish is so good. Which is proof. I mean, you can get there, but yeah, I don't know. That's what I want to do, some of that stuff, man. Get some people on here. I'm still going to talk to the Japanese people. I'm still going to talk to anybody because I think anybody has advice.
Yeah, mix it up, man. Mix it up, please. Mix it up.
Yeah, I don't want to be just a Japanese. Oh, Mark's gone. How late are you streaming? Maybe not much longer, actually. Mark disappeared. His internet may or may not have cut out. But honestly, if he comes back, it probably won't be much. There's Mark. Add to the stream. You there?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah. But yeah, I probably won't be streaming much longer. It's 11 o'clock. I'm may try to get another. Actually, let me see if Milwaukee's winning. Oh, Milwaukee won. All right, so that's done. I'll probably I don't know, maybe another 5 or 10 minutes or anything like that. Do you read manga? I do not read any manga. I've tried to get into like anime and manga for a long time, and it's just I don't know why. I just can't. Like I'll go through phases where it'll hit me for just a second, and then it's gone. Do you watch any anime? I mean, I know that you're not studying Japanese, but do you watch any like anime or anything like that? Do you watch anything with subs or anything?
No, I'm not an anime guy, but I did see a couple episodes of Death Note just out of interest, and it was really good. I would like to finish that, but it's just like one of those off things,
Yeah, it's hard for me to watch that kind of stuff, honestly. Like, well, I think the biggest thing that I miss about Japanese, or that I will miss, is like I want those really quirky shows, and I haven't quite found something like that in Spanish just yet. Like how Kantaro the Sweet Tooth Salaryman was, or like that kind of stuff. Or actually,
no idea what that is.
Have you watched Jane the Virgin?
No.
Oh, okay. I want to, because it has a lot of stuff to do with like telenovelas and stuff. And so I was like, man, if telenovelas are even remotely like Jane the Virgin, like I would love all of them.
Oh yeah, you can get sucked in. Like those things are so addicting. Like Mexican telenovelas are like so known for like its drama, and like I finally like really watched one, and I'm like, oh yeah, I completely get it. Like maybe you realize like it's not like the highest quality of shows ever made, but like it's just so like entertaining that you just keep on watching it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's what I'm looking for, man. See, I love Death Note. I have the manga. Yeah, Death Note's one of my favorite concepts. I actually really like the Japanese live action movie that they made. I really, really like that. And I've watched a pretty decent part of the series. So I Death Note is something. It's just a cool concept. I really like the concept of Death Note. So, well, cool, Mark. I'll let you go, man. I know we've been on this for two hours or so. Anything? I don't know. Mark's gone again. His internet must be acting up. So if he comes back in, I'll let him back in. If anybody in the chat has any final questions or anything like that, we can answer any kind of final things. And then if not, cool.
Maybe it's time to wrap it up. I'm being kicked out.
Yeah. If anybody has any final questions, let me know. I will get to that. And then, and if not, we'll start wrapping up here. So Mark, thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate, I enjoy talking to you and stuff like that. Oh man, are you gone again? Nope, you're there. Okay. Oh no, I think you're frozen again.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Are you? Okay.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, and we will chat again very, very, very soon. Is Japanese on the back burner for now? Just curious. Yes. Spanish is going to take over where my Japanese was for now. So
for when Seabolt comes visits me in Mexico City sometime this year, he's going to be armed and ready for some Espanol.
Yeah, that way I don't have to be like, can you tell this guy that I would like this? That's my goal.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta order yourself, man.
So, well, cool. Yeah, Mark, thanks so much for coming on. Everybody, thanks for watching. I really, really appreciate it. The continued support and stuff like that. And yeah, I think my channel is going to. Obviously, I'm still going to be doing some travel stuff. Like that's just something I do now. But I am going to be doing updates in Spanish or about Spanish, the way that I was doing Japanese updates and just general language conversation. We're going to try to get the channel back to what it was prior to.
And go check out the Language Come Up channel. It's a really solid language channel, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Go check out Mark. I have the links in the description, or you can literally just type in Language Come Up and the above search bar, depending on where you're watching. If you're on YouTube, search for Language Come Up. Also on Twitter, I have his Twitter link down below as well. I'll probably go back and link your Instagram. But yeah, just search Language Come Up, and there is Mark. You can go follow him for all kinds of awesome stuff as well. And yeah, thank you so much. And there's some good cheesy telenovelas on Netflix. Check out House of Flowers. Hey, send me Gringo Cabezon. Send me like a message somewhere with a bunch of like recommendations. Cool. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you all enjoy, and I will chat with you guys later.